The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. I am Zaira Tumang and I am streaming live from Taguig City.
I am Ned Della Croce and I'm streaming live from Bulacan, Bulacan. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Centralized versus Decentralized Exchange. What you need to know, Season 1, Episode 9 on TNC.
Welcome back. I am Zaira Tumang and you're still watching Centralized versus Decentralized Exchanges. What you need to know. So the new channel is an online alternative new media platform of online shows for people on the go. Please share it to your friends and family and watch all our shows as seen on the screen. Well, TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our channel is responsible global 24/7 platform that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content. What would make it easier for you? So, before we start, medyo exciting to net our centralized and decentralized exchanges. Kasi
Yeah.
dito makikita natin what is really happening with the volatility of the market in terms of the dollar, the gold, Bitcoin, and the funds, right?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, it's quite, the news actually is quite intriguing for what had happened. And of course, there's a lot of things that we could learn from this episode.
So, a couple of episodes ago, we had our colleague on the show, Ned. Diba? I was actually absent kasi nagka-COVID ako, but yun nga, mag-isa si Sly discussing a topic a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
But you were discussing why stable coins in an unstable market. Today's episode, we're going to expand on the cryptocurrency markets and discuss a bit more in depth of centralized versus decentralized exchanges and things you should know before investing your hard-earned money into them. Before we proceed, we want to let the viewers know we are not promoting any of one exchange but providing you the information as a way to educate yourself and realize what is at stake when dealing with different types of exchanges. Kasi napakadami. as you will discover that certain exchanges don't behave like other typical exchanges. In fact, there are significant differences and alternative platforms as well as external factors between centralized and decentralized exchanges. Lastly, as a disclaimer, nothing we say in today's episode in investing is an investment advice. So please do your own research or contact a proper counsel when investing in cryptocurrency. Pwede nyo kami siguro tanungin offline, but it's just a topic that we can discuss with what's going on already. With that out of the way, Ned, I'm so glad to see you again. How's everything? Ready for today's show?
Yeah, hi, Zaira. Thank you very much. I'm doing good. And yes, I'm ready to go. And I got my slides ready. So let's begin.
All right, Ned, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Zaira. Okay, so there's a lot of people who are asking how they will start their cryptocurrency journey. Actually, this is common nowadays, especially that a lot of people are adapting to it. And I think the easiest way for them to start their cryptocurrency journey is to find an exchange which will allow them to trade, buy, or sell crypto. And now, the next question would be, what do I need to look for in an exchange? And this is the exciting part because we need to know what will suit best according to someone's needs. And there are actually there's some exchanges. Okay, I cannot quantify them, but there are two major exchanges that are very popular right now, which are the centralized and decentralized exchange. So
Mhm.
this is where the exciting part is coming from. So what's the difference between the two? So we can proceed with the next slide. I think. Here you go. Okay, because a lot of people probably, if you know this, um, there are different tokens that we can see on the screen, and people are interested to buy some of them. So, what's the difference between centralized and decentralized exchange? So, centralized exchange are platforms which facilitate the buying and selling of cryptocurrency, either for fiat currencies like the US dollar or between digital assets like ETH or BTC. And they function as trusted intermediaries in trades. So you have your own broker, so to speak. And leading exchanges facilitate every aspect of digital asset trading, which is from security to fair market pricing to regulatory compliance, consumer protection, and various digital assets. Now, the next question, of course, is how how do you have or how will you start having a centralized exchange? So first of all, you need to select what centralized exchange you want to use. Actually, there's a term for this one, but it's I don't know if it's allowed to say in the studio. But for the meantime, we will say it as CEX. Okay. So first, you need to select which CEX you would want to use, and the most common is Binance. As you can see on the slide, Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, and Crypto.com. And there are other exchanges also like Bybit, BingX, which is being promoted in the PH. And we also have local exchanges that were existing for quite a long time, like coins.ph. And recently, like what I discussed last time, they partnered with Gcash. And from PayMaya, it became Maya. They're offering cryptos already. We got PDAX and Moneybees, who already partnered with Tambunting Pawn Shop for them to offer cryptocurrencies. Okay. And then aside from that, so when you have your selection already, then you need to complete the following, which are verifying your identity and complete your KYC or know your customer, AML or anti-money laundering, which is it's a huge issue, and counter-terrorism financing. So you need to pass through those requirements for them to allow you to trade in a centralized exchange. And of course, once you're
Actually,
able,
maganda yan, ano?
yeah,
The reason why we rather choose a CEX rather
yeah,
is because know your customer also allows you na makatulog ka naman at night, that the banks that you're syempre here in the Philippines, 'di ba? Bigla-bigla na lang sabihin online, makita nila na your account is already closed. because you are connected to this type of trading platform. So it gives you that peace of mind that this company has already worked with the reality na kailangan talaga nakilala ka at you're not a money launderer. Yung
Yeah,
pera mo ay talagang galing sa mabuti.
yeah,
And it's actually your ano rin your responsibility, 'di ba? To make sure that you are working with an exchange that is not a money launderer.
true, true. And it's very important as well with the law enforcement, uh, busy. So now, once you're able to go through that, and then you would want to fund your uh, centralized exchange platform, so you need to deposit the exchange via it's either wire transfer or automated clearinghouse transfer or using a debit or credit card or by depositing cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ether or stable coins like USDT or USDC, which
Later
are
I will go back to this number three, just to give you like a simple structure lang of how you can actually use your Bitcoin and also some of your dollars, exchanging from a CEX to a DEX. No,
yeah,
pwede mo siyang gamitin. But
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Zaira. So, for example, you're able to deposit it using your CEX, and then you want to transfer it to your DEX, or you could also trade. And this is the exciting part. You can trade it via spot or derivatives. So that's actually quite a good thing for us to know because in cryptocurrencies you can use spot or you can use derivatives, which is using leverage.
Okay, so in short, Ned, what is the difference of all this? Can you explain it a little bit further?
Okay, yeah. The difference between spot and derivative is, in short, spot is buying up on an actual asset. So, for example, you can only make money or see profit if the asset values goes up. So, for example, I myself, I was buying Bitcoin way back in 2019. So, I was able to buy it below the 10,000 USD level. And then, as eventually as it grows, ngayon, I think it's around 20,000 between 20,000 to 24,000 mark. So, yung in-invest ko before na less than 10,000 USD, ngayon nag-double up na kasi that's how spot. It's like you're buying this and buying the asset and then waiting for it to grow or the value goes up. And no, but with derivatives, it's a little bit long. But to keep it short, you don't buy the asset. You buy a contract which represent the asset. So this is where things like longing or shorting, futures, options start to getting involved. So we'll just leave at that because it's actually very complicated. And even if you're trading it, it's really
It
complicated.
is very complicated. Just
Yeah.
imagine last night, diba? We were just talking about it. There's Jackson Hole
Yeah.
Symposium and Fed Powell spoke. Imagine if you have a trade in your futures, and then sinabi nila that they will have a big effect in their market. No, the US dollar will keep on doing the inflation is gonna be more
Yeah.
this time. So, tataas na naman ng dollar. Imagine if you are shorting and naipit ka, no? So, wala sunog yung buong account mo.
Oo.
That's why it's a very, sabihin na natin, short term yung spot, but at least you get your money right away. Then, futures, you don't actually hold your futures, especially now. There's a lot of pressure with China and Taiwan. Di pa tapos yung Ukraine and the oil price hike. Oh my gosh. And so that's why you have to be very, very careful with choosing between spot and futures. Pero siguro kung ako, without any unsolicited advice, wag muna kayong mag-futures, mag-spot muna kayo.
Actually, the same thing. Actually, I was like what I mentioned earlier. I was doing spot before, but now I'm doing futures. And one thing is for sure, in futures trading, the future is unsure. And I was actually, yeah, because last night I was talking to one of my friends in the US, and okay, we're looking at a certain token, and then we said, okay, this is going short. So we did a short, and then all of a sudden, just 1 minute, sinunog lahat ng trades namin. What?
The retailers cannot control the market.
Yeah,
The market makers will really make sure that they will get all of those volatility until it reverses. So as of the moment, I think it's very delicate to put your all of your hard-earned money in futures. I guess it's better that there's a clear structure for your trades, and
yeah,
it's better that short term muna kasi lahat pinanonood what's really going on, and with the inflation medyo matagal-tagal pa to, no?
true,
So
true.
well, that's very cool, and Ned, we have the same experience, but what is next in the decentralized exchanges or the DEX?
Okay, so earlier we were discussing about the centralized exchange, and now we're going to discuss the decentralized exchange. So, a decentralized exchange is actually a peer-to-peer marketplace. So, meaning you can trade from one person to another without any intermediary. So, I think this is one of the real concept of blockchain, and even one of the things that Satoshi Nakamoto was envisioning. So, instead of relying on third parties, then you'll be able to transfer your funds to another person's funds. So DEX substitute intermediaries like traditional banks, brokers, payment processor, or other institution with blockchain-based smart contracts. And this is one of the things that we need to understand: smart contracts that facilitate the exchange of assets. Because of course,
Medyo na wala si Ned, no? So, well, he's trying to compare the traditional financial transactions, which are opaque and run through intermediaries who offer extremely limited insights into their actions. So, DEX offers complete transparency into the movement of funds and the mechanism facilitating the exchange. In addition, as user funds don't pass through a third party cryptocurrency wallet during trading, the DEX reduces counterparty risks and can decrease systematic centralization risk in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. The DEX are a cornerstone of decentralized finance or DeFi and serve as a key money Lego upon which more sophisticated financial products can be built as a result of permissionless composability. So, permissionless eh. So siguro habang inintay natin makabalik si Ned, no, I'll explain a little bit further about money Lego. A money Lego is defined as a phenomenon that allows DeFi projects on the same network to integrate each other's services to create new products. So mapapansin nyo, there are new products in the same blockchain. So that's where they create their DeFi projects to make it more stable and sustainable and can talk to each other. So, for example, Ethereum, if a project does NFTs and another project provides a metaverse, both projects can live on top of each other like layers. So, what? So that many of the NFTs can show up on a metaverse. So, meaning the NFT migrate mo siya sa metaverse so that it interacts on each other's platform. Or if you view it from the opposite perspective, the metaverse accepts this particular NFT since they live on the same blockchain network. They both can be easily integrated to create a new product, which could be a metaverse NFT store. So, medyo something like that. Medyo malapit doon. No? So, well, it makes a little bit of sense because the Legos, diba, like when you play when you were younger, you build so many things out of it, but it's the same thing. So iba-iba lang siya ng kulay, iba-iba lang siya ng laki, pero you can build out so many different things on it. So to continue, how to do the centralized exchanges work. there are several DEX designs, each offering different benefits and trade-offs in terms of feature sets, scalability, and decentralization. The two most common types are order book DEX and automated market makers. So the DEX aggregators, which parse through multiple DEX on chain to find the best price or lowest gas cost for the user's desired transaction, are also a widely used category. Kaya maraming DEX, di ba? So that you can actually see yung mga kailangan mong bayaran na gas fees and transfer fees. One of the main benefits of DEX is the high degree of determinism achieved by using blockchain technology and immutable smart contracts. Whereas in centralized exchanges, such as Coinbase or Binance, the platform facilitates trading using the internal machine engine of the exchange. So kung ano yung nilagay nila doon, yun na yun. So the DEX executes trades through smart contracts and on-chain transactions. Furthermore, DEX allows users to maintain full custody of their funds via their self-hosted wallets during trading. The downside, though, is that DEX users are typically required to pay two types of fees: network fees and trading fees. The network fees refer to the gas cost on the on-chain transaction, while trading fees are collected by the underlying protocol. It's the liquidity providers, token holders, or a combination of these entities as specified by the design of the protocol. So the vision behind many DEX, di ba, napakadaming DEX there are in the market, is to have permissionlessly accessible, end-to-end on-chain infrastructure with no central points of failure and decentralized ownership across a community of distributed stakeholders. This typically means protocol administrative rights are governed by a decentralized autonomous organization, or what we commonly known as DAO, made up of community of stakeholders which votes on key protocol decisions. However, maximizing the decentralization of protocol while keeping it competitive in a crowded DEX landscape isn't an easy feature, as the core development team behind the DEX is generally able to make more informed decisions about mission-critical protocol functionality that a distributed set of stakeholders. Even so, many DEX opts for distributed governance structure in an attempt to increase censorship, resistance, and long-term resiliency. So before we even go further to our discussion about DEX and CEX, let's go on a very quick break so that matawagan din natin si Ned and he can be with us again.
Wanlu and his puppets face to face. With special guests, Makata Tawanan, Jess Box, and the Lunaria Marionette Show.
Alam mo, Nicolo, kung wala ako, hindi ka magsasalita. Alam mo, Tito Anlo, kung wala ako, nagsasalita ka nag-isa. Kung wala ako, wala kang masusuot. Kung wala ako, wala kang nakakain.
October 30, Sunday, 7 p.m. at the La Verdad Auditorium in Apalit, Pampanga. Buy your tickets now and see you soon, face to face.
TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. Please watch all our shows as seen on screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but we make it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become the global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Watch Crypto Chic bi-monthly every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. You can also watch live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now. For sponsorship, please email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a DM. Enjoy these life-changing shows because we made them for you. Ayun, welcome back, Ned. Parang nag-trade ka pa yata sa Dexa. Kaya
Yeah, may inabangan na token.
na-trade. So anyway, we were talking about a while ago yung kinukuha ng mga fees sa DEX. No? So in my experience in Forex, I do have a broker. So, walang pakialam naman yung broker mo kung anong kukunin mo na trade eh. Ang importante sa kanila is their commission. So, with the DEX, dalawa yung kinukuha niya na fees, the transfer fees, and also yung tinatawag natin nga kanina na mga exchanges na kailangan mapunan, no, para maging stable yung market. But anyway, as we move further, maybe you can explain to them yung centralized exchanges and papaano yung matching engines that pairs up with the trades. With Forex kasi, for example, like I mentioned, Euro USD. So it's Euro against the US dollar. Now, as we know that's Euro is really, it broke parity. It might stay below the parity because the US dollar is getting stronger and it's gonna be winter and they have a problem with the gas kasi kinat ni Putin yung lines nila. So it's gonna be very hard for Euro to trade against the dollar. So as you can see with the structure, talagang hirap siyang makarecover, no? So but with cryptocurrency, it's similar, like Bitcoin to dollar, BTC against US dollar. What will be the effect or papaano ba yung mga order book na yon? Kasi like for example, Bitcoin against the dollar, since the dollar is going up, then you saw it last night that BTC broke again to the downside. So while the centralized exchanges utilize the blockchain via smart contracts, diba? And a few other protocols or features that are similar to the centralized exchanges, like the trading fees, the automated market makers. Yan ang kalaban ng
Yeah.
most of the traders, the market makers, kasi buhusan ka lang yan, wala na, ubos ka na, liquidated ka na, or
Yeah.
sunog na lahat yung buong account mo. And order book.
True.
Importante yung order book because that's where you can see the institutions are putting their orders.
Yeah.
No? So, dapat as a retailer, you know where they are so that masundan mo sila. However, what are you pointing out in the decentralized exchanges bago ka nawala kanina is that it's more resilient
Yeah.
to censorship, no, and distribution of governance. So, lagi kasi sinasabi nila, it's manipulated. Yeah. Nangyayari talaga yan eh, na there is a manipulation going on. But can you elaborate a bit more on anti-censorship and the distribution of governance relating to a DEX?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Zaira. Actually, it's true na there's someone or some people that or some groups that are actually manipulating the market, but it's actually part of the game. So, also part of the beauty of being in a permissionless and a peer-to-peer transaction is it's actually nakakatulong siya na malampasan yung mga restriction. Like yung nangyayari ngayon. For example, you mentioned earlier about Russia, that Russia's assets cannot be transferred anywhere because it's being blocked by the US or some of the nations that are actually against Russia, especially with the war in Ukraine. But with decentralized exchange, uh, under censorship relating to decentralized exchange, think of it like a centralized exchange, but that exchange might do business in Asia, but will not do
Mhm.
business in North American region due to SEC ruling. So, generally speaking, when SEC blocks a decentralized exchange to conduct business in North Am, it would be like a censorship. However, using the same scenario by utilizing DEX, although the same SEC ruling could be applied on centralized exchanges, because it is decentralized nga eh. In this scenario, there will be might not have a major impact or it could not be banned. For example, I'm using I know when I was in Canada, I cannot use certain exchanges, but I was using an app called SafePal Wallet, and I'm using Pancake Swap to swap the different access. So despite of the ban in Canada, I was able to transact and buy uh, my different tokens and things like that. So simply put, there's no clear-cut way to ban blockchain or regulate a decentralized exchange. And I think ito yung pinoproblema ng mga maraming governments and lawmakers. Because index, in this scenario, since the control of money belongs to the user behind the wallet interacting with the DEX, so it is up to the user to determine what he or she does with their own funds. So wala nga intermediary, walang pwede mag-block and things like that. So centralized exchange can take your money away or even not let you access your account. And I experienced a lot of those experiences already, especially kunwari, nagsarado yung centralized exchange. Hindi ko na makakuha yung mga assets ko doon. And so this is something that the audience needs to be aware. Censorship exists on centralized exchanges. So be very careful. Unlike with the centralized exchange, for example, I want to send assets to you, Ms. Zaira. It's easy for us to send our assets back and forth without anyone interfering on our activity.
I think yung madalas naman na nangyayari right now is the reason why it's huge here in the Philippine market is because we have a lot of OFWs. Imagine if there are a lot of OFWs learning how to send their money to their family members here and they don't have to put so much payment on the exchange rates, mas malaking tulong yon. But on a bigger scale of things, for example, like the Australian dollar, hindi sila ganon nahihirapan unless mag-pull out lahat ng mga Chinese investors nila because there's a lot of investors of the Chinese in the Australian dollar. So these are the things that are clearly regulated in a way by the government of Australia, but they do not actually control that because the Chinese government has the right to withdraw their investments into the Australian economies. A simple manner then with what's going on with China with Evergrande, about the a big
Yeah.
real estate company. Um, what if they are penalized? Hindi mo rin masasabi kung kailan or anong ginagawa na regulations ng China, and for them to be able to recover what was lost. So, kailangan aware ka with what's really going on with both DEX and CEX and the world news. Hindi pwedeng wala kang pakialam because you're just staying in the Philippines or you're just in the States. Because the global markets, the global economy interacts with each other. No country can survive on its own. We depend on each other, and that's the reason why the currencies are centralized. There are exchanges, the banks use them, and the big companies use them for certain agendas.
Yeah, true. I agree with that, Zaira, because I read earlier that someone, a popular cryptocurrency advocate, he mentioned that it's very unusual to think that hindi mo i-connect yung cryptocurrencies with the global market and things like that. So what's happening in the world actually affects everything. So
Yes.
that's something that we really need to understand and to know. Like what you mentioned, hindi tayo dapat clueless sa nangyayari sa mundo because that affects like almost every aspect of our lives. And sa gaya nga nasabi, knowledge is power. So if we have the knowledge to understand those things, that will be very helpful for us today and in the future, especially with the ever evolving global market. And it's kind of exciting and scary at the same time, but there's a lot of things that will happen in the future.
So I know that we're talking about DEX and CEX, but can you further discuss what an order book DEX is? Yung mga methods, what it is about, so that we can further break down the differences.
Yeah, actually, this order book is applicable already with the different exchanges and things like that. So it's being applied as well in decentralized exchange. So it's actually one of the method being used in a DEX. It's a real-time collection of open buy and sell orders in the market. Usually kung ano yung nakikita natin sa mga traditional na broker, and it allows exchange internal system to match buy and sell orders. So like for example, ang nangyayari nga, 'di ba? For example, you ask for or you bid and dapat mayroon equivalent nun sa ask. Kung ikaw ay bibili, dapat may equivalent nun na magbebenta sa iyo for it to for the
Match.
transaction to push through, to match, 'di ba? Which is what's happening as well with the traditional market. So for example, you're dealing with stocks, yung mga buy orders mo dapat may katumbas din na magsisell. So, kaya nga, fully on-chain order book decks have been historically less common in DeFi. Okay, I think that would be another good topic in the future
Yes.
because they require every interaction within the order book to be posted on the blockchain. And partly it's good because everyone can see, but sometimes it's actually pinapabagal nito yung proseso of swapping from one token to another. So sometimes yung mga order mo na hindi na complete dahil walang katumbas dun sa
Yeah.
sa sell order. So that's why these require either far higher throughput than most current blockchains can handle or significant compromises in network security and decentralization. This is actually a very huge issue, especially with transaction. Diyan nga nagko-competition yung mga iba't ibang blockchain because they really want to make the transaction faster. Mas madami, mas madami transaction na nagagawa at mas safer. Yun ang pinakapupuntahan ng mga tao. So,
Yeah.
some of the examples of the order book decks on Ethereum have low liquidity. Again, this is another issue. And suboptimal user experience. So, may part doon ang hirap talaga ng decks. Especially when I was starting using decks, I was parang sumasabog ulo ko sa dami ng information. And good thing, I had a mentor who was teaching me along the way how to use it and eventually got used to it. But for beginners, it's really, really difficult because I'm also instructing some of the people that I know how to use decks and kung paano.
Mhm.
Mahirap. So some of the popular decks na meron dyan yung OX, Didix, Loopring decks, and Zero. Now, aside from order book um, DEX, there's also another one, and this is the most common. Actually, this is the one that I use the most, which is the automated market makers. So those who are trading are already familiar with this. So what are automated market makers? And first of all, they're the widely used in DEX as they enable instant liquidity and democratized access to liquidity provision, and in many cases permissionless market creation for any token. No. So ibig sabihin, madaming nakapool na tokens doon. So easy ang swapping. Next is you don't have intermediaries. So kung ano yung nandun sa liquidity pool, change mo, pwede mapalit agad. And eto, which is actually something that's good and bad as well, is for us to create a token. No,
Mm.
kasi uh, of course, when you're trying to put it in a centralized exchange, we're following a token like a Katecoin. Katecoin, we're already following it, I think, since last year, and we're hoping for a Binance listing. Ang tagal bago mag-isa. Yeah, talagang nagwawala na yung mga Bitcoin holders like kailan magpupunta sa Binance and things like that. But ngayon, you can actually trade it in Pancake Swap. Yun yung usual na ginagawa natin dati. So that's why for example, you're able to quote a price for a user. So yung sa AMM nga, they'll be able to have an instant access to liquidity markets, and otherwise kung low liquidity yun, mahirap maipit ka doon. Okay.
I think
Ngayon,
that's also the reason why some of these platforms, kumbaga, syempre kung ikaw din, di ba, mas gugustuhin mo maraming users.
yeah, true.
So, if hindi pa nila nare-reach yun, why would you even list them? So, I think it's really the lower liquidity pa no, of this particular tokens, not particularly Gatecoin. There are a lot of good projects there out in the market that still needs a lot of users, and they need a lot of liquidity for them to be able to be placed in a bigger platform. So, and with that, there are several stages for them to be able to get to that stage.
That's true. And of course, with the different platforms that you can use, the popular AMM decks actually includes Bancor, Balancer, Curve, and my favorite Pancake Swap, because this is where I
Mura
usually
kasi.
trade. Yeah, true. Mura ng mga gasi. Pero recently, hindi na siya mura. Nakaka high blood na sa taas ng gas fee minsan. So yun. So
So,
those are the things na popular AMM decks.
yeah. Well, so I'm trying to like wrap my head around this. So the automated market maker is sort of like a rebate or an incentive given to users when they put up liquidity on an order on these types of exchanges. So it's kind of like free money then, wouldn't it?
Not quite. The idea of an incentive is correct. We will discuss it. So, for example, let's say I am a decentralized exchange. My DEX token, which I created, is it's called Ned token, and I have listed pairs on my exchange. Let's say BTC, USDT. So, since my exchange utilizes an order book model and it has an automated market maker feature, a person who wants to buy an order of BTC for 100 USD or 5,000 pesos, place a buy order for BTC. That person gives to my exchange 100 USD worth of stable coins, either USDT or USDC. This is liquidity. My
Yeah.
exchange, in return, provides that user net tokens. And that user can utilize net tokens for other things, like if I sell merchandise, they can use net tokens to purchase or to collect, for example, 10,000 net tokens that they can trade for 10 USD, something to that effect. So the incentive in an automatic market maker is that liquidity is being provided to an exchange, and the reward is this item or token.
Mm. So the incentive is mutual for both the exchange and the user.
That's
So,
right.
syempre, your exchange needs to have proof of stake, proof of work,
Yeah.
that they can actually have an exchange to a particular token, and then you can use your token, correct?
That's right. That's right. Okay. Now, we can proceed and discuss about the advantages of a centralized cryptocurrency exchange or CEX, and
Yeah,
then
sure. Mhm.
disadvantages. So this is actually how the liquidity provider looks like. And then, okay, so what are the advantages? First of all, like what I mentioned earlier with a CEX or SEX, it's user friendly. Okay?
Mhm.
Kasi para ka, if you're familiar with the different brokers, para ka lang nag-trade sa usual broker. So you will see there the buy, sell order, and things like that. And
Mhm.
centralized exchanges offer beginner investor a familiar and friendly way of trading and investing in cryptocurrencies, as opposed to crypto wallets and peer-to-peer transactions, which can be very complex. And
Mhm.
users of centralized exchanges can log into their accounts and view their accounts balances and make transactions through applications and website, like normal broker. Parang ganun. So, you just logged in and then you can see, oh, ito na yung kinita ko, ito na yung asset na hawak ko, and things like that. Next, of course, it is reliable because centralized exchange offer an extra layer of security and reliability when it comes to transaction and trading. So by facilitating the transaction through a developed decentralized platform, centralized exchanges offer higher levels of comfort, which is you cannot find if you're using a decentralized exchange. However,
Mhm.
aside from its advantages, meron din syempre siyang disadvantages. So, the first disadvantages of a CX is hacking risk.
Yan,
And
paborito ng lahat,
yeah,
hacking.
yeah. Kasi nga, ang laki ng hawak ng mga CX na funds, billions of dollars ang mga nagtitrade doon. And if you, yeah, most people would remember Mount Gox of 2014 kasi I heard from the news na yung mga naipit na BTC doon is ilalabas na nila sa dahil natapos na yung kaso. So anong nangyari sa Mount Gox, may nag-hack, nagnakaw ng mga funds doon, and ngayon they're trying to recover it. Okay. So, isa yun sa disadvantages ng centralized. Kasi sa sobrang laki ng hawak na pera, magiging sila talagang target. So, magiging target sila sa mga hackers. And of course, the next, of course, is transaction fee. So, syempre, mas mataas yung transaction fee, especially if you're trying to send out yung assets and things like that. And then we go to the advantages of a decentralized exchange. So first of all, advantage ng decentralized exchange is mitigating the hacking risk. Kasi it's very hard for a person to hack your wallet. Ang may kasalanan na
Mhm.
doon, ikaw na lang. Yeah, kung nawala mo yung
Pinost mo sa
seed
social
phrase,
media yung password mo,
yeah,
ganyan. O,
seed
yeah.
phrases, yan, yan, mga ganyan. Next, of course, it prevents market manipulation. Kasi unlike sa sa CEX, meron nga diyan mga meron nga diyan mga big players that they can just easily pump and dump the money. With DX, medyo mahirap kasi ang hirap ilabas, ang hirap i-exit nung mga tokens, so things like that. So very nakakatulong siya ma-prevent yung market manipulation. And of course, the last is anonymity. Kung ayaw mo malaman ng marites mong kapitbahay kung magkano yung hawak mo, this is a good thing. Kasi ikaw lang yung may alam kung magkano ang hawak mo na asset doon sa sa decentralized exchange. No? So those are the advantages of DEX. Now, ang disadvantages niya would be complexity. Kasi napakahirap niyang intindihin sa una. You really need to familiarize yourself with how to use a wallet or an app or how to use the decentralized exchange. And ito ang isa sa pinaka mahirap din, which is the lack of fiat payments. Kasi nga,
Right. Yes.
hindi mo siya basta-basta mako-convert eh. Whether it's stable coin, hindi mo siya kayang i-convert agad sa fiat. So ano nangyayari? Bumabalik pa rin tayo sa CEX at doon nagbebenta via peer-to-peer. For example, sa Binance may peer-to-peer transaction doon. So you can sell yung mga stable coins mo or other assets towards fiat. And lastly, it's actually the liquidity struggles. Na alam naman natin na within the decentralized exchange, merong liquidity pool. Pero
Mhm.
sometimes merong mga tokens na hindi talaga nagkakaroon ng sufficient liquidity pool, especially yung mga tinatawag nilang rug pool. So anong nangyayari? People are putting money into the liquidity pool at meron naman pala naglalabas nun. Eventually, if they're trying to sell their asset or convert back to, for example, stable coins, wala na doon mga stable coins and things like that. So yun
Mhm.
yung mga problema to. At actually, meron pang mga ibang problema like front run, especially I know if I don't know if you're with meron kang experience with burger last year. I think I
Yeah,
was
I did.
talking burger
Yeah.
with burger.
Mm.
I think that's where we initially conversed when we have that already. So yun yung mga different
Buti na lang bago nasunog ang burger, nakain ko na yung burger.
kami kami sunog kami.
Konting-konti lang din naman kasi because I know nga there's a lot of tokens, there are a lot of projects, there's not enough liquidity. There's only like a very few retailers and market makers who's using it. So parang I'd rather put it somewhere safer than hoping for something that is unsure in the future. So, but just to further give them more information about the risk and considerations, maybe we can a little bit talk more. We still have a little more time before we end this show about the DEX risks and considerations. There's just some that we can discuss about it.
Yeah, actually, we already discussed one about it is the liquidity risk. Another concern is the smart contract risk, and I think this is what had happened with Burger. Na
Mm.
compromise yung smart contract. Kasi ang problema sa smart contract, you can copy smart contract from one platform to another. Copy and paste lang naman halos yan eh. And then
Mm.
what happened? Nag-insert doon sa smart contract ng certain codes na eventually the funds were funneled into another wallet. And that's what had happened with Burger way back. I think that was in May of 2021. Na kung
Mm.
saan naubos yung assets doon sa pool na yun.
Mm.
So that's another thing. And then of course is front running or sometimes yung rug pulling. Kumbaga, yung sinabi natin kanina, there are people putting money into into the liquidity pool, putting their assets, and then some of the developers, especially yung mga nagra-rug pull, ibig sabihin nun, kinuha
Mm.
bigla yung money mo, and you cannot exchange it anymore. And this happened many times already with decentralized exchange. So those are the risks that you need to consider. Okay. And also, yun nga, another would be token risk ng mga decentralized exchange. Kasi nga, you can create your own tokens. And kahit wala yung value, you can put in decentralized exchange. And then you can ask people to buy it. Ngayon, pagdating ng panahon na they need to convert it back to their stable coins or the other asset, wala na kasi natakbo ko na yung pera. Yun naman yung mga risk na dapat nating intindihan. Kasi maraming ganyan sa DEX, sa DEX, na nag-imbento ng token, eventually, wala, nirarag mo lang, o kaya tinatanga yung,
Wala na lang bigla.
ang sakit. Oh,
Yeah.
daming ganyan, especially last year, the beginning of bull market. I think yung unang peak nung May, ang daming ganyan na nararag bull na biglang, nag-invest ka dito, hindi mo na ma-out yung pera mo.
So, in addition to, there are so many other risks that we can discuss. Unfortunately, we lack of the time. But in addition to some users may find having full custody of their private keys a daunting prospect. While having full control over one's assets is one of the main benefits offered by the Web3 vision. Many users may prefer to have a third party entrusted with custody of their assets. However, following good security and key management practices can allow more users to enjoy the benefits of maintaining full control of their own assets. Kumbaga parang simple lang yan, may ATM card ka, meron kang password. Hindi mo naman
Yeah.
kailangan ibigay yun kung kani-kanino. No? All you have to do is put it probably in your one of your notes, 'di ba? Notebook, tapos lagay mo sa sa secret compartment mo, or just put it probably in your phone. But while accessing a sophisticated system kasi sometimes things may happen, and if there is like an open source of financial services and it's out there, mawawala talaga. So you really have a full control of your own assets if you really hide it from those people who shouldn't have it. So just to summarize everything, there are significant amounts of differences between centralized and decentralized exchanges. Me personally, recently I've been trying to make money in forex, which is has more liquidity as compared to cryptocurrency. And I've recently has seen a lot of differences between the two. and there are pros and cons. But while DEX do offer censorship resistance, smart contract usage, and full user control, the key major benefit outlined in your presentation are outweighed mostly through performance and user satisfaction or experience commonly found in a centralized exchange. Kasi nga, mas kampante ka doon, may liquidity doon, there are governing factors. And it is obvious that centralized exchanges hold more market power because widely used than the decentralized exchanges, but as new projects and tokens enter the blockchain space, what is noticeable is my experience is that they tend to list first on decentralized exchanges before they make it onto the centralized exchanges. Parang when you were in college, di ba, you have your pitch deck and then meron kang panel of judges and then you won it, and then maybe as soon as you graduated you make it as a business, and it prospers. It's the same thing, like you have a project, you try to win other people's minds and notice your project and believe in you, and until such time that you have a token and that you put it in the centralized exchange before you make it to a platform that is centralized as big as Binance or Bybit or BingX. This will provide a hallmark of victory for a blockchain project to be listed on a major crypto exchange if the project becomes widely successful and investors pour money into it. So, with that being said, Ned, thank you so much for sharing your time, the time that you have also done for the research and the wisdom with all of us today. And I'm sure the audience appreciates the information you have presented to us.
Thank you very much for having me today, Zaira.
Thank you for those who have been with us this afternoon. That is our show for today, and stay tuned for our next episode called The Merge, Life After Proof of Work, where we discuss Ethereum's move to proof of stake and how it will affect the crypto markets and blockchain. Bye for now, guys. Have a good
Bye, guys.
weekend.